All right, everybody, we're live. Let me know if anybody's out there in the comments, if you can hear me. I want to talk about a couple things tonight I've been thinking about. The debt ceiling, which is approaching, and both sides are peacocking, shall we say, and saying they won't budge, which the Republicans want to cut jobs, federal specifically, which, hey, I am all about it. And Democrats want to keep the spending of 2021, 2022. It's all an argument of how fast we bleed out. It would be nice to bleed out less fast. As I've said before, the math doesn't work. We're not getting out of the debt crisis. It's just a matter of can we slow it down enough that we can step off the boat into something else? Maybe that'd be Bitcoin or what have you. So, yes, our national debt is a ticking time bomb. And I wanted to show you guys this. Uh, this was Kevin McCarthy uh, today, I believe, talking on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Give me a second here. What just happened? Do. There we go. Okay. I'm having technical difficulties. Give me a second here. Yeah, talking on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange about our national debt. Let's take a listen. Oh, just realized that. Yeah, so when that's the interesting thing. I've wondered. Oh, what's up, electrical prepper? See you there. No audio? Hold on. Hide that. That ain't good. Audio. Still nothing? Test. Wow. Test 1, 2. Can you hear me now? Test. How's that? Okay. Wow. Professional. I'm a pro over here. Okay, sorry about that. I guess my mic, I have to hit the headphone thing. Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. National debt. We're getting towards the debt ceiling that has always moved, and we'll see where that goes. But what I thought was interesting about the national debt conversation was this, which now I have an ad. Hold on, give me a second here. It was Kevin McCarthy who spoke on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange today. So both sides are just arguing about how fast we want to fall off the cliff, essentially, because no matter what Kevin McCarthy says, I don't know how long he's been in Congress, but the debt's been going up under both sides of the government. So at this point, it's too late. He's just noticing the femoral bleed of the economy and our debt. And he's saying, hey, we really need to get serious because the consequences are getting more and more and more severe. People are feeling it. So let's take a listen. Okay. Debt's far too high. Yeah, so what's the republic here's why that matters. I don't even know if you guys saw that, but hopefully you heard it. But, I'm all over the place tonight. Here's why that matters. They're virtue signaling because 32 trillion, the math, you can't get out of it. So, in my opinion, so the debt ceiling, why it matters so much is the constant flow of the risk-free rate of return. So who requires when I talk about risk-free rate of return, I'm talking about bonds, government bonds. A lot of companies, a lot of industries rely on that risk-free rate of return. One of them that I've been thinking about recently, I'm going to make a more detailed video on this, is insurance. Insurance. Pensions do as well. And insurance can't really take a risk with their piggy bank. They run these actuarial tables, and part of the actuarial table is what is the real risk-free rate of return. So being able to make financial calculations without knowing what inflation is going to be, but hint, hint, the only way out of this is inflation, like 100% inflation. And you have to, here's the other problem. There's so many problems, but 100% inflation, the problem is they have to underestimate it too. So they have to have like they have this last year. They had 20% inflation. They estimated it like 8. So that's what they got to continue to do because the government needs to inflate away its debt and get its debt to GDP down. So how are they going to do that? Nobody will want to hold bonds. And these companies that rely on risk-free rates of return, like insurance companies and pensions, either they're um, especially people that pay for like whole life or index universal life, stuff like that, they're going to have to pay more. They're going to have to pay more. And or these businesses are going to go under because when they run this risk reward actuarial table, a lot of it has to do with risk-free rates of return. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys, sorry, I've been all over the place. Had some technical difficulties at the top, but I don't know if you saw this, but one of the things that I don't know if this will get off the floor, but it's so bonkers that this is even a thought in somebody's head to tax unrealized capital gains. They already kind of do it now because they tax you on cap gains, but when you sell at a loss, you can only write off $3,000. It's kind of heads I win, tails you lose for the government when it comes to taxes and capital gains. But they've yet to cross this Rubicon of taxing unrealized capital gains. So, what would this mean for the economy? In my humble opinion, Cliff Notes version is the stock market would cease to exist. Investing wouldn't happen because you would have to make such a gargantuan rate of return for you to take that risk that you wouldn't do it. So obviously this is stupid, but it's not a surprise coming from economically illiterate politicians because keep in mind, as the pain becomes more and it becomes more of a political issue, inflation, yada yada, they get more desperate. And I'm going to show you this bond calculator, and then I'll get to your questions. What I think they're going to do and what the math is and who's going to be left holding the bag. It'll be hint, it's the bondholders. Because Biden administration's 2023 budget bill made headlines by proposing a so-called billionaire tax. Remember how the income tax was only for the rich when it came out? We're all going to be billionaires soon, folks. Just $1 billion won't buy anything. So this billionaire tax is imposing a 25% minimum rate on unrealized cap gains for the wealthiest Americans. So what unconstitutional thing they can do to billionaires, even though you can give an argument, hey, they should pay more taxes. Okay, they follow the tax code. Maybe rewrite the tax code. But they're billionaires for a reason. And guess what? I've heard of capital flight, Washington. They leave. So one last thing I want to show you. Here's the problem. And this is where I think insurance companies are going to have a problem. Okay, let's say you have a $1,000 bond. And I can link this in the description here, but this is a bond calculator, okay? So the par value of the bond when you bought it was $1,000. The years to maturity was 10. And the new interest rates today are 5. So let's say when you bought it, the coupon was 1%, which is what SVB and a bunch of other institutions did, including insurance companies, including pensions. Why did they do this? They were flush with cash. They have to put it somewhere. This was during 2021 and 2020 when all this money was coming in. So they're flush with cash. So they got to buy something. And this is back to the risk-free rate of return. So they put it in treasuries. So if this was yielding 1%, this is what the new bond value or the par value of that bond is. See the problem? SVB. Same thing with insurance companies. Now, if they hold it to maturity, they'll still get par value. But if they need to sell it on the open market, they're only going to get $691. Massive problems for companies that rely on risk-free rates of return. A lot of them can't go out the risk curve, especially insurance companies. Everything's run off actuarial tables. So if they were to go out the risk curve and invest their piggy banks into stocks and bonds or the stock market rather, they'd be even more at risk. So this risk-free rate of return is kind of the foundation of our economy. And the fact that it doesn't exist, it just does not exist in our market anymore. And I don't think it's going to exist for a decade plus to come. So what happens when there's no more buyers? Because right now they think, well, there's still demand because it's like Pavlov's dog. They're like, well, they're going to drop interest rates. So if I buy now, then that calculator I showed you, if it happened in reverse, that par value would have gone up. So they're thinking, okay, the Fed has to drop interest rates. And I think the same thing. I think they have to. But in reality, the government needs to, no matter what the Fed does with interest rates, the government can't give you a real rate of return because they already have $32 trillion in debt. So how are they going to do that? How are they going to give bondholders a real rate of return? So as demand drops and people realize that this is systemic and it's continued and it's going to happen because it's on purpose, they can't give you a real rate of return. Then who's the buyer of last resort? The Fed, also known as yield curve control. All right. So those of you just tuning in, sorry for the technical difficulties I had. Guess you guys couldn't hear me at the beginning. Electrical prepper, you can hear me now. Boom, boom, boom. Check out some of your questions. I'd love to know what you guys think. How do you think the federal government, because I don't think taxes will be the answer, by the way. I don't think, yes, I do think they're going to raise taxes. But even a dumb politician can understand, like, if they're getting less in tax receipts and the economy is cratering because of their tax policies, that can last. You can suck the economy dry for like a year and a half, and then you've crushed it when you raise taxes. So I'd love to know how you guys think they're going to crack this nut, but I think it's going to be financial repression. Bondholders will be screwed. They cannot give you a real rate of return, cannot give you a risk-free rate of return. Therefore, all financial calculations are broken. Did you guys hear that McCarthy video? Let's see. All right, from Ali. Oh, Ali, what up? Ali and I were at an insurance conference this past weekend. Everything is insurance nowadays. My unemployment compensation is now called unemployment insurance. Yes. So the question is, you got to think about how insurance companies make their bag, right? Because they run these actuarial tables, and what you pay in changes based off of what they're making in the market, and they can't really risk it in the market. So how do they get a return? They buy bonds. What if they're losing money in bonds? Insurance costs go up. Help insure. Yeah, insure Hamptree by hitting the like button. Yes, of course. See, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. Okay, yeah, let's go back to this calculator here and do it in reverse. All right, so this is why people are buying bonds today, just so you know. This is what they think the Fed's going to do. All right, so let's say you're getting 5% today at a par value of 1,000, so you put $1,000 in on 10-year maturity, and the Fed drops interest rates like everyone thinks. And this is why, by the way, the last 40 years, this has worked. Because what have bond rates been doing? Dropping, dropping, dropping. Can they go below zero? Technically, yes. But that's clown world. But the new interest rate, this is what people think is going to happen. Fed's raising interest rates. They're going to lower it because they're breaking something. So if they do lower it, what happens? That bond is now worth on the open market $1,378. Because what people are paying for is the interest rate or the coupon rate that you bought it at. So you got to keep this in mind. You got to keep this in mind when you're thinking, well, the stock market's doing this and this and this. The bond market comes before the stock market. And if the bond market's broken, there is no such thing as a risk-free rate of return. You're going to see things fall apart in the stock market as well. All right, let's see if you guys have any more questions. Then I guess it'll be a short one tonight, but I'll close it out. No audio. I can hear you. Okay, cool. All right. Looks like 6 of you are here. But if you guys don't have any more questions, I don't think I see any more. Okay. Cool. I got a lot of good content coming out this week. Some crazy stories. And as we see it fall apart, I think we're going to see more desperation from Washington. It'll be fun to see. Grab your popcorn when it comes to this debt ceiling debate, because they're just arguing about how fast they want to go off the cliff. I would love to see that the debt ceiling is not raised and they're forced to cut spending. Everyone's saying they're going to have to cut Social Security. That's not true. Everyone's saying they're going to default on the debt. That's not true. They're going to have to cut government jobs. Wouldn't that be awesome? All right, guys, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.